Hey guys, it's Eddie, your Muay Thai tutor, and today we're going to be covering the rear leg kick, meaning it's coming from the back side. As I promised, this technique doesn't really need very much introduction, so we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. All right, let's go. So, I know you guys can't see me, but the focus is going to be on my bottom half, so don't mind the camera angle. The template for the right kick is very much like a cross, meaning I'm going to step out of the direction of the kick. I'm not coming straight forward, I'll explain why later, but I'm stepping out, except for the catalyst, the power is no longer going to become my right leg or my rear leg, it's going to be my lead leg. So when I step out, I'm going to step out aggressively with my left leg, almost in the fashion as if I'm going to leap forward, leading with my left leg, meaning I'm going to jump just like this, all the way, and all the focus is going to be on my left leg. As I land, I want to make sure that I am on the ball of my foot, ready to bounce. My calf is very much going to be engaged, and as I bring up my right leg, the surface area in which I'm making contact with is going to be my tibia, or right about 2 inches below my knee, which is the sweet spot of my shin. I want to think of my shin, or the anatomy of my shin, very much like a baseball bat. So if you look at the shape of my leg, this would be the bottom part of the baseball bat, and as the bat gets fatter, the very tippy top obviously would be no good hitting a baseball. Right about here, again, a couple inches below my knee, is the thickest part of my shin and where I want to make contact. That's the part that can be conditioned and be hardened the best, and again would create the most damage because of its density. Now, the surface area in which I hit the person is going to be the rib cage right about here, and or the forearm. It doesn't matter where I make contact, what the person puts in front of me. The whole idea is I want to break bones, whether it be the rib cages or whether it be the forearm bone. I want to throw this as hard as possible and again inflict as much damage. All right, so I'm going to build you guys up on the kick. I'm going to talk about the different mechanics, and then we're going to slowly augment as the video progresses along, and then we'll bring it all together to have your rear leg kick. So I'm going to start off by, again, stepping out, the weight being on the lead leg as I can lift, and I'm simply going to raise my leg straight up in the air. And the idea of this is I don't want my leg to flick. So the power of the leg is not coming from the extension of the leg or the quad, it is coming from the hips and the drive of the body. So power is going to come here, and it's almost going to be leaned back, but I'm just going to simply bring my leg straight up in one solid piece. Try not to have your toe pointed out, because then I'm going to stub my toe, almost like you're kicking a soccer ball. And again, the idea is to make contact with the thickest part of my shin closer to this area. If the person comes in, I'll talk about, the things that you'll run into while in combat. My knee is going to stop them from coming forward if they do come forward and become combative. But if they back up, then I have the rest of my shin or my leg to make contact with. So again, I'm stepping out, I'm lifting up, and I'm just simply going to raise my leg straight up as so. All right, so the second augment that we're going to do is the right hand. So very much like walking, there's a natural stride to when you walk. You don't even pay attention to it, but even as we walk, as my left leg comes forward, my left hand goes back, vice versa. As my right leg comes forward, my right hand comes back. So it's going to be the same concept. I'm going to step forward in my stance, and as that leg comes up, straight up in the air, I'm going to drop my hand. I'm not going to forcibly pull it down, nothing too crazy. I'm just going to let gravity do its thing and then let my body just naturally come up. All right, the next augment or step or change we're going to do is, as I step out, now we're going to time our hand and our foot to be placed at the same time. So as I step, I'm going to reach across my face as if I'm coughing into my elbow at the same time, and pause right here. I'm going to be on the ball of my foot. I'm going to turn my foot out just a tad bit, nothing too crazy, at about a 45-degree angle, as so, in my stance, right here. I'm going to pause right here, and then I'm going to add in the last element, which is naturally bringing my foot straight up. And again, as I raise my leg, I'm going to drop my hand. Now I want you to notice the effect of my torso and not necessarily my legs. So, boom, bah. So as my hips come forward, my shoulders and chest come back. It's almost like a lean. Bah, very much like a seesaw effect. Step out, cough on my elbow, and then naturally let gravity do its thing, and then just bring my hand down. Bah. All right, now it is very important to be conscious of where you start your kick, and this is very relevant to all forms of martial arts. And if you guys are watching this, you guys have a karate background or a taekwondo background, or have been doing Muay Thai for a couple of years, I want you guys to really challenge this and think about this, and not necessarily think about your art, but think about the science behind the kick. So as I'm lining up with my target, if I were to step forward towards my target, there's an angle of degree in which I'm making contact. So if my contact point is going to be my camera, which is right in front of me, my body has to turn 180 degrees just to make contact. So there's a lot of people, or a lot of martial arts, where you guys pivot the foot a lot, and it doesn't matter whether you flick your leg, but as I'm pivoting, I'm creating a lot of torque and motion just to get to my target. So there's not very much follow through. Typically you want about half of distance, and then you still want another half of follow through to kick through your opponent, objectively speaking, when talking about Muay Thai. So as I'm lining up with my target, I want to make sure I have the target between my legs. I want to step out, so I make contact at about half, and I still typically have another half to follow through. Now, even if I step out in the direction of the kick, it's also very important to where I line up. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've seen people hitting pads and the target will be right in front of them, and they'll walk out and start at a position slightly out of range, and they'll step out in the direction of the kick and they'll do everything out. But now my target is over here, and again, I have to turn more than 180 degrees just to make contact. So it's very important being conscious of where you lined up. So even if I'm off to the left, just turn your body so the target is between my legs, so I can step out and again make contact at about half, and I still have another half of follow through. So keep the target between my leg, placement, step out, kick in, kick up, lean back, have that elbow, and then just naturally drop. All right, the next augment we're going to do is the trajectory of the kick. So I've been talking about raising the leg straight up, but obviously if you kick straight up and I'm looking at the person just like this, the kick is just going to miss them, or you're going to make contact with their elbow. So we got to angle it just a tad bit. Now there's a lot of people that bring the leg super far out and bring the kick horizontally, and although that is not necessarily wrong, it's a lot of effort, and the later the rounds get, the more you're going to telegraph your kick. So if I step out and I bring my leg out and then I follow through like that, the more tired that I get, this is what it'll look like. I will kick like that. And again, when you're reacting or when defending to a kick, you're reacting off the body language. So as I see this, I will already see the kick, and it becomes a much easier block for me. So instead of kicking, have my lovely assistant move here. Instead of bringing the kick out sideways, I'm going to look at the angle. If I'm looking at a person holding pads and practicing this, the angle of their arm. So my contact point is going to be the lead pad. The second pad is just there for cushion for the rest of my leg. I'm going to look at their elbow, and I'm going to make contact to the elbow and follow through in this exact angle. So as I make contact, I'm going to make contact here. And again, I'm driving very upward, but slightly angled towards their shoulder. It's gonna be very hard to see the angle from this camera view. I want to make contact here. And again, I'm driving my leg in this very upright fashion, but towards their shoulder. Now, if I'm looking at the anatomy of my body, right about here. So I will make contact with this part of the rib, driving through. And the whole point is I'm trying to force a compression, whether they want to or not. I'm trying to tire them out. If I don't force a compression, again, break the bone. If the forearm is there, again, break the forearm. Shin versus forearm, the shin is much thicker, you're going to win. So one more time, this is what the kick is going to look like. I'm going to step out, I'm going to be on the ball of my foot. I'm going to rise up and then change the angle of my kick slightly in an upward angle. Bah. The angle is going to be about between my shoulder and my ear where I'm pulling up. Bah. Again, my leg is one solid piece. I have my leg slightly angled, not too bent, not too straight. And as I raise my leg, my right hand slowly starts to come down. As you start to become more conscious of combat, I don't want to drop my hand all the way. I want to hide behind my shoulders and utilize this hand for distance in case the person tries to throw across. They have to reach the entire length of my hand just to get to my face. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be your upper torso. So we talked about the angle of the kick, and I talked about the direction that I'm going to shoot the kick, which is between my shoulder and my head, right about my ear at a 45-degree angle. Now, a lot of mistakes that I'll see people do, even though I've been doing this for a while, is that their body won't be moving towards the same way. And what I'm meaning is my leg is going to be shooting out this way, but people are so focused on their hand and bringing it down in this fashion. You'll see that Muay Thai slam where they'll drop their hand like that. And what they'll do is they'll twist their upper torso in the opposite direction that their legs are going to. So even though my leg is going this way, they're so focused on bringing their hand this way and or getting back into position to kick again that they end up doing this, and it feels super awkward and it contorts and puts a lot of pressure on the lower back, and it's just not good for your body. So as I step out and as I throw the kick, I want my chest and my hips to move at the exact same time in the exact same motion. So I want you guys to think about almost like spinning around. If I were to grab something and spin as ridiculous as it is, I want my legs and my chest to move together as one solid unit. And even though I am spinning around, I want my spin to be in a spiral fashion this way. So as I step and then as I start to kick, my upper chest and my hips are moving at the exact same time, this way. Now, there is still a defensive responsibility that you guys have to be aware of. Left hand has to be tight, or the lead side has to be tight to me. And again, I'm not dropping my shoulder too far down, exposing my chin, because the counter to the kick is the cross and the counter to the cross is the kick, where you absorb the kick, but you're going to take it so you can give, vice versa. So if I'm throwing the kick, I want to be conscious of what can take me out. So I'm going to step, I'm going to lift, and I want to come up here and finish right about here. So even as I throw the kick around the corner, my chin is still covered by my shoulder. Bah, right here. And again, I have the length of my hand that they have to cross on top of the length of my leg before they even reach my head. And I'm pulling back with my head in an upwards fashion, again, creating even more distance from my target and myself, making me as safe as possible. That concludes our video. Thank you for tuning in. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know and I will gladly answer. The next time I'll be covering the left kick, so stay tuned. Thanks guys, sweat go.